All right. So before I get into this video of vegan gains that I'm going to respond to or react to, um, I want to point out that I like vegan gains. I've followed his channel for years. I used to binge watch a lot of his stuff where he would go over different well-known bodybuilders and break down issues of wrong things they've done. I like his take on a lot of vegan stuff. But what I'm going over now is the idea of, is he good for the movement? Is he good for veganism? And I think this is a good place to look. So yeah, let's take a look.
Hi everyone. Recently I've noticed people wondering why I've been so inactive and wondering why I have not uploaded any veganism related content.
Okay, and before I go on, in case anybody doesn't know about the situation, since this is a couple weeks old, he is reading a post of Cosmic Skeptic, Alex O'Connor.
For quite some time I've been reevaluating my ethical position on eating animals, which is something people have also noticed. But what you will not know is that I had also been struggling privately to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. This guy is supposedly supposed to be an intellectual, and he's struggling with not only deciding whether or not it's ethical to murder and mutilate innocent animals, but he also doesn't know how to figure out how to use an app like Chronometer or a simple basic food guide to figure out how many calories he needs to eat and what foods provide enough nutrition for him. And this guy is supposedly a university graduate and an intellectual, and he can't figure out how to get all his vitamins. Like, really? When you were a child, were you not, like, at least given Flintstones vitamins or something?
Okay, so real quick, I just want to go over, anybody can graduate from college. That doesn't mean that you know everything. But the idea of somebody being an intellectual, I mean, again, it's just a word. I mean, it has meaning, but the idea of somebody being an intellectual doesn't mean they are going to know everything. Alex seems very intelligent. I love Alex O'Connor's stuff, but as somebody that's like an expert in psychology isn't necessarily going to be an expert in mathematics. And no matter what different things you list, the idea of somebody being an expert in nutrition wouldn't be likely. And even when you do have experts in nutrition, a lot of them think different things. And for example, I think it was Lifting Vegan Logic I was listening to the other day that was saying that everybody should just take a multivitamin. And I don't know about anybody out there, but I personally really enjoy Dr. Michael Greger with nutritionfacts.org. He's probably my go-to on, if I don't have time to read a study, he's the one I trust the most as far as trusting somebody else that's going to read studies and tell you the findings if you don't have time to read the studies. And he says to take B12, vitamin D3, and omega DHA supplement. So essentially 3 supplements. But every video he's done or everything he's put in his books about vitamin supplements, he says don't go near the rest. They actually are more likely bad for you than even just neutral. So the fact that you'll have somebody that's pretty awesome at doing research like Lifting Vegan Logic, and he follows a lot of people that do their research. And so even top-notch vegans talking about doing one thing with vitamins, but then you have this expert doctor that most vegans trust, and I trust, that says something different. So the idea that somebody that just happens to be very intelligent and is into philosophy and it has like a strong interest in ethics and is a huge part of the vegan movement, even if he's stopped being fully vegan, he's still a huge part of the vegan movement. To think that this person should know perfectly how to figure out the best things to do with supplements when it seems like most of us don't even know. So is it necessarily better to do a thing wrong and not look into it versus doing a thing in a different form of wrong and not look into it? So anyways.
Can you not at least figure out how to take a multivitamin, you Didn't your parents teach you that when you were a kid? Like, as if it's difficult. You
And this is the basic idea of what I think when I think of is vegan gains bad for veganism. It's really hard. Like, I don't want to judge anybody too harshly. I've gotten a lot of crap about talking about Joey Carbstrong's methods for talking to people about veganism, and that's a whole different level. Like Joey Carbstrong, I like almost everything he says. I just think he pushes things a little too far, and that's just a personal opinion. This one's personal opinion as well, but I don't even think this is an element of pushing too far. The mocking, doing the like handicap type voice, and just like yelling at this person about vitamins. I get it. Vegan Gains. It's like a comedy show. You want to do this over the top thing. But you're talking as if you really feel this way. And so I don't know what to say. Like I'm not one of those people that thinks comedy shouldn't happen and that you should only, punch up, don't punch down with comedy. I say whatever you want. You can joke about 9/11 if you want. So in the same sense, if it's very well known from everybody that could be listening that this is a comedy show, and since it's not directly a comedy show, I think that's maybe the issue. Somebody can say something in a serious way and it can be horrible. And if you don't point out that, oh, I was just doing a comedy bit until somebody asks you, then I don't know if it's necessarily comedy. So I get it. I watch a lot of Vegan Gain stuff. I get that he's doing funny stuff. And even this, I strongly disagree with him on his take on Alex. But it's kind of funny. Like I like the guy. It's kind of funny. But I don't think he's good for veganism. And when I talked to a fan of Joey Carbstrong about this idea of pointing out that I don't think somebody's good for veganism, he was telling me how if Joey heard that, he'd be so sad because he puts his whole life into veganism. And so I don't want that. I don't want that for Joey. I wouldn't want Mr. Gaines here to hear me say that I don't think he's good for veganism and that make him sad. I don't know. No, he probably wouldn't care. But imagining he did, I don't want him to think that way. I'm just wanting to share my opinion because I think it's good for us to talk about these things and share opinions. And the idea that he's going to this extreme level, if anybody just saw like what I just saw, the whole like handicap type voice and just like cussing nonstop about somebody not figuring out supplements, it definitely makes vegans look crazy and wild. And yeah, anyways, let's just see where it goes.
can literally live off of nothing but potatoes. And he can't figure out how to eat a healthy plant-based diet. Want to let you know this because I have, for some time now, been consuming animal products again, primarily but not exclusively seafood, and experimenting with how to best integrate them into my life. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that maybe some people need to eat animal products for some stupid reason. They don't. But let's just assume you might have to. Why wouldn't you eat non-sentient animals like bivalves? Like if this guy had any interest in being ethical, why the hell wouldn't you at least eat like mussels or something? Oysters, they're not sentient. They don't have a brain or nervous system. They just have nerve ganglia. It's literally impossible for them to be sentient.
Okay, so I've been vegan for about 8 years. I was vegan before that off and on. I've been like philosophically vegan for maybe about 20 years. And I had never even heard of bivalves until maybe last week. So again, not everybody's going to know all the different things. Now me, I haven't done what Alex has done where since being vegan full on from 8 years ago till now, I haven't done what Alex is doing, which is having some meat here and there and figuring out what he's going to do. So I guess I haven't had a situation where I need to figure out, should I add whatever Alex is adding like fish, or would it be better to add what Mr. Gaines here is saying, which is bivalves, which I had never heard of, and then like oysters and maybe clams, maybe shrimp. I'm not sure exactly the things he said. But yeah, no, it's a good point. If there's some nutrients in these things and less suffering is caused due to it, then if somebody can figure out how it makes their diet work better, then that's great. And I think that would be a better approach. What we know now from Alex's response is that it's due to IBS and going on all his speaking tours and stuff. He doesn't have time to focus on basically veganism just isn't working for him right now. Now, I don't know the right answer. I personally think that we can all get by without eating animal products. But I think it's complicated. I know if I needed to, if I was going to die, I would eat animal products. And so there's a strange, there's a line somewhere, and I don't know exactly where it is. I don't like at this point. I just like the idea of focusing on people not wanting to make animals suffer. I like the idea of even meat eaters just like having a better understanding about it, thinking about it, and realizing like I think I need this certain animal product because I think it's healthy, but I can't justify this unhealthy one, so I'm going to not do this unhealthy one and get maybe a bigger conversation going on to get people to stop doing this thing. And I just think with something like this case with Alex, where he's talked for years about ethics and still continues to talk about ethics, aside from this response to explain to people that he's not fully vegan right now, and then his response video to it, Alex is like such a important voice for animals. Whether he is the cause of some animals dying or not, his stance on getting people to think about ethics, which has turned a lot of people vegan, and even at this point with him not being vegan, I'm sure that he will turn a lot of people vegan while not being vegan. So I think he's just such an important part of this movement that talking negatively about him in this way is just going to make the movement look bad, I think.
Why wouldn't you just eat those? But you have to, again, murder and mutilate animals that have a consciousness that can feel pain and suffer.
Howdy, this is Miles Garrett here at Lasik Plus today, and ready to get my procedure done and have a new look on life.
I'm interested in philosophy and never enjoy sharing personal information about myself, but I can obviously see why this particular update is both necessary and relevant. It's not my intention to go into too much detail here, as I think that will require more space and perhaps a video, but rather let you know with more details to follow later. You're an Alex. You're, like, actually I've seen this go on Michaela Peterson's podcast or whatever. It was supposed to be a debate about veganism. This guy did nothing but cuck. He literally could not provide one single argument, and he literally just simped for carnism the entire time.
I strongly disagree. I watched that a while back. I remember getting really excited about it because I'm not a huge fan of Michaela, but I've heard some things about her or from her that I like. But I liked the idea of somebody that was on, let's say, a political side of the aisle that isn't usually thought of as the vegan side. And I thought it was so cool to see her talk to Alex, because you almost never see that. I can't think of any cases where, like, how wild would it be if, like, Ben Shapiro talked to Earthling Ed? And so it happened. And so that was cool. And they were nice to each other. They were friendly. They happened to know each other outside of doing this. And so that was great. Some people thought that there must be a relationship of some kind going on. I think that's very unlikely and kind of silly, especially considering how willing he is to make videos talking poorly about her dad. It seems like they're just friendly because they met at a couple different events. And anyways, I thought it was a great talk. I thought whether he convinced her or not, or whether she was lying or not, I don't know. But as far as her claims, what she's reaching to her audience with is that people should only be eating animal products for health. If people only ate animal products for what they deem to be healthy, then billions of animals would not have to be bred and die. And that's something that we keep forgetting. We keep thinking, let's make everybody vegan, which would be great if it works out someday. But there's so many different approaches and different ways we can go to cause less animals to suffer and die and to even be bred at all. And that's something like what Michaela Peterson's doing. A person that only eats meat and nothing else. She is eating meat products that, I mean, knowing the amount of money she has, and I believe she stated this anyways, she's eating stuff that's grass-fed and free range and hormone-free and all this stuff. Which again, I don't think these animals need to die or should die, but those animals dying compared to typical factory farm animals dying, I'll take that any day of the week. And if she's convincing other people to think this way, what is it called? Regenerative farming. It's like the thing DJ Garland from Garland Farm just does, where it's the idea of not having these feedlots and just having free range, no hormones pumped into stuff, whatever. And I don't think people should do this. I don't think people should harm or eat animals. But if they're going to, and the process of going from what we have now to something more like a vegan future, I think it would be best if it went in the way of getting rid of the factory farming and having more of what like Michaela and Garland are talking about. Again, you don't have to think of it as a dream or anything for vegans, but it kind of is a dream. It's such a huge step in the right direction. It's like when slavery still existed in the U.S. If you wanted slaves to be freed and get the right to vote, and they were freed but didn't get the right to vote for another 2 decades, the freeing is still a huge win. And then later you get this, and then later you get this. And so I think what our goal should be is, obviously suffering has to be the number one goal, even if there are other goals. So if we don't want animals to suffer, then what we got to do is we got to find where the most suffering is. And then we got to put a stop to that. If the most suffering is factory farms in general, then let's figure out how to work with meat eaters to end factory farming and then go from there. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling, but I thought Michaela and Alex did a great job, and I thought Alex challenged her pretty well, and I think it led to some good ideas.
If you cannot provide one single argument or pushback at all against Michaela Peterson, you are a certified whatever university you went to for your degree in philosophy, they should revoke it because you are provably, certifiably a my position to factory farming remains unchanged, as do my views regarding the need to view non-human animals as morally worthy beings whose interests ethically matter. Then why are you eating them? However, I am no longer convinced of the appropriateness of an individual-focused boycott in responding to these problems, and am increasingly doubtful of the practicability of maintaining a healthy plant-based diet.
I'm just going to go back to that last thing you said. Then you said, why are you eating them? This would come down to kind of like the thing I was saying. If you're like stranded on an island and you need to eat a chicken to survive or whatever, and you do it, it doesn't make your ethics and morals go away. It just means that you're doing something that you think is necessary in that moment. Now that's an extreme, and that's what it would take for me, would be something like that, or it's a very big health issue. But for him, it might take something else. He might look at different things and go like, oh, I think these animals are more sentient than this fish, and I think I need this fish for my health, and I care more about my health than the animals. But once my health is good, I don't want to harm animals, so I'm only going to eat the ones I think I need for my health. So that's why he's eating them, but still feels ethically how he feels. I mean, it's something like, if you look, I know a lot of people talk about crop deaths, but I think one of the better things to talk about would be something like rodenticides. This is something I learned about recently, but rodenticide was like a poison for rodents that is left out for them to consume when they're in like orchards and stuff like that. And so it's not just something dying in the process of tilling something up that's an accident. It's putting out a poison to kill. And it makes they die off really slowly too. It'd be so much better if it was like a snap trap or something. But the poison goes in their body, and then they like kind of bleed out and die slowly. And so we decide, okay, we need this food, and so it's better to let these rats die and these mice die than it is to kill these factory farmed animals. So you go, okay, great, no, that's true. but we do need to eat food. So for now, we got to put this poison out, kill these things, and eat the food. Now, if you disagree with that, then you might need to stop eating a lot of the fruits and veggies that you're eating. So I kind of lost track of it for a second, but yeah. Anyways, I'm just pointing out, like, we have our different limits for what we go for, and it doesn't change if we have the ethics or not. Now, we shouldn't stay blind to different ideas. When you hear about something that's kind of depressing, like the rodenticides, you don't just think, oh, it's got to be better off than this, so I'm just not worrying about it. I'm doing my type of veganism. No, we should constantly be learning and figuring out how these things work so we can do the best we can to cause as little suffering as possible. And if we could possibly cause no suffering, that would be great too. But until we can, I mean, there's just so much to look at
in the long term. Like, okay, just so you know, look at this skinny. This guy has doesn't even lift. He has the body of a. Like, dude, you're talking about eating healthy. You're not convinced you can get enough nutrients on a plant-based diet? Where am I getting my nutrition?
Yeah. He's not saying that nobody can get it. He's saying that he hasn't figured out how to make it work in his life. Not everybody's the same. And like you pointed out, he's really skinny. He's probably not skinny because he's eating healthy or eating too little. He's probably skinny because most people aren't healthy. So most skinny people are naturally like that, and they're just unhealthy and skinny. And then most overweight people are overweight and unhealthy. And so the amount of people that are healthy and fit, that's not many. Not many people are like that. So him being skinny doesn't mean any. I just can't even imagine what you're getting at.
Shoulders are bigger than your head. Like, really? You couldn't have asked anybody, hey, I'm having issues getting enough nutrition. I'm an absolute who.
Oh man. Yeah. Everybody's different. People feel different. My thought on why a lot of people that eat meat and switch over to trying out vegan and say they feel terrible, like I believe this is what Sam Harris said, and I wish I could talk to him about this. But when you're used to something and then you switch over to something else, your body's thrown off and it feels weird. It doesn't mean, a lot of people say, like, listen to your body. You don't always want to listen to your body because usually your body tells you to eat a bunch of junk food, and or at least your mind does. Your body doesn't really tell you much of anything. But so life isn't perfect. When it comes to things where there's not a law in place and we can do whatever we want, not everybody's going to act perfectly, and everybody's trying to figure it out day to day, and different things get in the way, including different things like mental health and other type of health and just whatever's going on, how busy you are. Now, I would guess Alex is very busy, but also he's probably doing pretty well, like financially, so he probably has more time to think about these things. But things get in the way. You could have drama with your family, drama with friends. You could have a lot of things that make life kind of tough. And I'm not saying that that's a good excuse to eat animals, but I am saying that it's not that simple. Like us vegans, we know that we think this is morally wrong. You shouldn't harm animals. And so we don't do it. That's easy for us because we've already made that choice. But these other people that haven't made that choice, or that choose to change their mind in different ways, that have made the choice, they're doing so in a world where it's fine. Like there's no laws against it. And it's hard to get through to people how to think about that. But when there's no law and nothing forcing you to do a thing, it just comes down to personal choice. And that's why we got to do the best to convince people that this is a good way to be. Acting insane about this guy that talks great about animal ethics, and the fact that he's maybe now eating a little bit of fish or something, we don't even know the extent of it. This just makes the movement look so bad.
Can't figure out how to use something like Chronometer? I'm Like, my time spent as an actual f***ing adult having to feed myself, I just haven't been able to figure it out, and I needed a...
Yeah, the way you're acting right now, this is going to make somebody that was thinking, I was thinking about being vegan. I'm not too sure, but I'm thinking about it. But this is how they're going to act if I change my mind. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to mess with that. So yeah, not just because of this video, but many videos. I would say that it's fair to say that Vegan Gains probably is not good for veganism. I would be curious to see if he's ever turned anybody vegan. He's very fit. He's got a good physique, good looking guy. So a lot of times I would guess that would help convince people to go vegan. So maybe that has convinced some people. But I think his main thing is that he's good at entertaining. He's just really funny. So he's probably entertained many vegans. I would guess he's probably turned more people away than he's convinced, but I also don't think he owes anybody convincing. I personally think it's best to try to spread good messages and whatnot. But I don't know. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I'm going to stop here. I'm like a little over halfway through the video, but this video is getting kind of long. Take care, guys.